So the new tools, the first of the new tools we're going to introduce is aspect of slope. Now this is something that can be quite useful if you find yourself a little bit lost and you haven't been paying attention. I've tried to explain this on screen as best as I can, but it is another one of those that probably makes more sense when we're out there. So if you don't get where I'm coming from with this, don't panic, because we are going to cover this out on the hill until you do get it. But it's not actually a really difficult concept to actually practically do. But if you read textbooks on navigation and so forth, they're all a little bit like this, which is a bit over-explained to try and get a point, which is actually very easy to do on a hill. So this is a 1 to 25,000 scale map of Jarlside in the Haugild Fells, and we're going to visit here, and we're actually going to practice this up on Jarlside. So it's one of the first hills we get to, and this is going to be one of the first things we do when we get to this summit. So potentially I want to go from Jarlside up to this next summit. So I'm doing a bit of Haugild summit bagging. So this is Kengriff, and it's misty. I can't really see anything. And it's that kind of stagnant mist that isn't going anywhere. So there's no real wind direction to help me. It's just very still, but very misty and poor visibility. So naturally, I think we'd all probably agree, I'm going to need to take 2 bearings to avoid this craggy area, this very, very steep craggy area. So 1 bearing, and I'll probably need to time and pace this one. It's not a very big distance, so it's manageable. And then when the contours start to drop a little bit, I need to take another bearing down to the col, and then I can reassess. However, I've been yapping away quite happily and haven't really been paying attention, so my compass bearing is completely useless, and I've worked out that, oh, hang on, just reaching a steep section, and I've woken up to the fact that I've been paying no attention whatsoever. So I'm there, and I'm looking down the slope, and because it's misty, because it's anywhere, and because I've been going round in circles, I'm a little bit confused, and I'm not sure if I'm looking down this slope, or that slope, or that slope, or anywhere else on this hill. I've really lost the plot. And let's face it, happens to the best of us. So what can I do about it? Well, I can use aspect of slope. So let's imagine that if the hill was kind of evened out a little bit, and I know there's always tufty grass and there's always the little lumps and bumps and little boulders and this sort of thing. If we could even that landscape out a little bit and roll a football down, what is the line it's going to take? So it's obviously going to go straight down that hill. So we just need to imagine what is the line it's going to take. And we line the compass down that roll line. And we then twiddle the compass housing, because the needle will be always pointing north. So we just then get ourselves a landscape bearing. So this is, if you like, taking a landscape, a bearing from the land. And the feature we're using to do that is the roll line of a football going down this slope, as far as we can actually see in the mist. Now what I should be getting is roughly a north-northeast if I was in the right location. That's what I'm expecting to get for my second bearing to get down this hill to the col. What I'm actually getting is a more or less southwesterly direction. So that tells me that I'm on the other side of the hill, because I'm facing a slope that's southwesterly. It's not north-northeast. So I really am pretty much the other side of the hill. So, but where? That's the next question. Remember, it's really misty. I can't really see much beyond, you know, a couple of meters around me. So I need to look at the map. Where on this hill would a football roughly run down in a southwesterly direction? Well, there's 2 spots. So there's this area where I'm stood, and there's this area, but I don't know which one I'm stood at. So what I can do, I'm not going to change the housing or rotate anything apart from the compass itself 180 degrees. Now the reason I'm doing that, I'm not taking another bearing or anything, I just want to work out a new storyboard. So if I just walked off in the other direction and willy-nilly, I'd just make myself even more lost. So I'm kind of now narrowed down where I am on this hill. So let's just turn the compass. This is a back bearing, and we'll do this on the hill. So I'm not twiddling the dial, I've literally now got red in the black and black in the red. So I've just turned it around 180 degrees. So what's going to happen? If I'm stood at this area, I'm going to walk up nearly 40 meters to the summit. And then I'm going to start dropping down quite steeply, and I'm going to probably fall off the crag. So that's not a very good idea. So if I'm heading back up this hill 40 odd meters or so, that's telling me that I'm at this side. If I'm on this part of the hill, I'm going to walk up 10 meters. It's then going to be a very short sort of increase and then sudden drop again. And I'm going to gradually start going down until the slope gets very steep. So I'm using the contours here very precisely as my storyboard. So I am stood there. What happens when I walk is I go up 10, probably 12 meters and then gently start dropping down again. And then I hit a steeper slope. So I've been able to determine that I'm somewhere along, I'm now probably along here. But I need to find myself a bit more precisely. So we can now do exactly the same thing. So we can now do another aspect of slope. And it's great. So I can work out kind of where I'm supposed to be going, whether I need to move up a little bit or back down the slope a little bit. If I move too far up this way and I do another aspect of slope, I can see that the only part of this hill where the ball's going to roll down is going to go straight through the crags. If I've gone really far up towards the summit again I can see that there's a very steep section which then is going to get a bit less steep and then go over another crag. So we can do aspect of slope on both sides of the hill to really confirm where we are if we've gone completely wrong, and then to fine tune. Phew. So that is quite a long-winded description of aspect of slope. I hope it makes a lot of sense. If it really doesn't make any sense whatsoever, again, we're going to do this on the hill until it does make sense. And it is actually something that's quite straightforward when we're doing it. So let's move on to boxing. So this is perhaps a little bit easier to explain on screen.